GitHub Copilot X. Sign up for technical preview. I tried getting myself on the CLI waitlist. Jupnikskamexkamska. That they use FBEG as the example hits a huge pain point for me. But next waitlist by GitHub. Next would like permission to act on your behalf. Not owned or operated by GitHub. Why does signing up for a waitlist require me to give permissions to an app to act in my account? An app that isn't even officially from GitHub. This sets a bad example for permission requests, getting people to just click through the dialog, which requests too much access, and from the wrong domain. It's officially from GitHub. There is some weird language that I'll absolutely pass feedback onto the team. I think because GitHub Next is a different organization from GitHub proper, but I can assure you, this is an official GitHub app. But I totally agree that this isn't a great clear message about where this is from. I would love to hear from other people here, but I tried it for a while and dropped my subscription. For short things it was nice, but the larger the suggestion the worse it got. I found myself constantly mentally debugging the output it suggested. I do not know if it was faster, but I was mentally exhausted by it, unable to go for long periods of time. Dumb code completion is predictable. I know I'll need to press down 3 times before it's even shown to me, enabling me to think forward. With smart code completion, I need to constantly stop my train of thought to process whatever it throws at me. I even tried to just trust the system, playing it fast and loose, not double-checking everything, but then it just produced bugs. I'm a developer with 16 years of experience, currently working mainly with Python for API work. I'd love to hear accounts of other people. Please add your background if you feel comfortable. I want to see if there is some correlation to experience, programming languages, or use cases. Yesterday, Copilot could not write a program with SymP, which is a library for doing symbolic math in Python. E.g., it would consistently confuse symbols in equations with Python variables. Today it uses SymP, as well as it uses NumPy. Occasional mistakes, but overall it has the right idea. Absolutely astounding. I don't think people understand the hockey stick we're on. Don't focus too hard on the failings. Look at the scaffolding being rapidly deployed that makes the iterative improvement process exceptionally tight. Microsoft really seems to have wrapped up the developer ecosystem with VS Code and the GitHub acquisition combined with OpenAI. They are going to have an absurd amount of data to optimize their models thanks to that. Not sure how other AI-focused companies can overcome that. Have to wonder at what point developers remember how anti-developer Microsoft used to be and potentially move away from their ecosystem. Credit to Microsoft's PR team for somehow managing to turn around public opinion about them. It's an all-timer. Microsoft is so well positioned on this, I think Silicon Valley has forgotten what it looks like when they don't have a horrible CEO. When Microsoft executes well, they're a scary force. They were exceptional under Gates, and it looks like they are again. There's a massive paradigm shift we're just at the beginning of, and Microsoft has been putting pieces in place for the last couple of years. Nadella has really turned things around for them. Google and Meta are scrambling. Things should get interesting. I wouldn't go so far as to say they're exceptional. They're gaining good graces for developers by offering a bunch of free for now tools that people like. But most of their big breadwinner software is still abysmal to use. I just tried cold starting Word and getting into a blank document on my i9 MacBook Pro, and it took about 15 seconds. Windows is increasingly a dystopian user tracking and ad serving platform that happens to run the applications you need, and they still constantly break basic system functions. For a while I couldn't open JPEGs in the built-in photo preview app. I gave Edge a shot for a good 6 months or so, and eventually gave up because they kept breaking basic functionality that I never saw broken in Chrome. There was literally a month or 2 point in time where if you grabbed the scroll bar and dragged it, the bar would disappear, jutting the entire page sideways and breaking scrolling, until you close the tab and reopened it. This is on the default built-in OS browser. Also, my God, their SSO experience is so clunky and prone to breaking. They're strategically exceptional, but beyond that a lot of their products, or subsidiaries, are also dominant for good reason. The code, GitHub. 365 and the product integration there, Teams, is why they crushed Slack, despite Slack's head start. Slack sold out to languish at Salesforce, while Microsoft will now just own that space. Cherry-picking a Microsoft app for macOS is like looking at iTunes on Windows. It's not really representative. Even Windows itself isn't that important. That was one of the big strategic changes after Ballmer left, and Nadella took over. You're right about Edge though, which is why Microsoft abandoned it for WebKit. Microsoft also ships, something Google can't do very well. I think their current trajectory is probably undervalued, because people have not properly updated from outdated historical sentiment. The code is an incredible piece of software. Better than all the paid options in my opinion. The amount of features they pump out month to month is outstanding. Just a bit slow due to Electron. I never understood why they put so much effort into a free product that I run from Linux and Mac, but I'm happily paying the Copilot subscription, so it all makes sense now. Masterstroke is that they are including Linux in WSL also in Windows Server. They are one step away from being a Linux distribution that runs legacy Windows software within containers. If it were not for the impending headset, Apple would look a wee bit caught out as well. I suspect once Apple turns toward General I, all of its other advantages, infra, HW, install base, services, etc., will propel it to forefront. Apple has always had its own hardware-based silo to some extent, excellent products and design, fully integrated. Still, I suspect the AI stuff will be hard for them. They were first to market with Siri, and it's still trash 13YRS later. It's always been what they're weakest at. I'm not sure LLMs will be different for them. The headset could still give them a nice hardware platform advantage, though if that UX becomes the main new interface. Still, I suspect the AI stuff will be hard for them. They bought Siri. What stops them from buying someone for I? Have to wonder at what point developers remember how anti-developer Microsoft used to be. Microsoft has historically been anti-open source, but not anti-developer. Their first product was a basic interpreter, and in my experience throughout the 90s and early 2000s, their developer ecosystem, aka Visual Studio, has really been first class. I am not a fan of Microsoft, because they have been openly hostile to open source, but I don't think it's fair to say they have been anti-developer. When you use Copilot integrated in the editor, does Microsoft collect all source code data on your project, or only context used to perform the completions? Concern over this is the number one reason I have not yet tried to use Copilot. For my hobby projects, I don't care enough to pay for it. And if it's phoning home proprietary code, I can't allow that to happen. I hope that Copilot X will be brought to other IDEs as well, not just Visual Studio Code. Scary. For the first time in my life, I feel like my expertise is at risk of being rendered obsolete. Maybe not this year, but the writing is on the wall. Soon coding without an AI will feel as antiquated as delivering food by horse. And resistance is futile, because markets will punish those who refuse. We'll probably need less and less developers as AI advance, just like we need less manual labor in farms today. And coding is just one of the many applications where AI can replace brains. Governments will have to ponder about what to do with a world of people who became inferior to machines at almost everything. Universal basic income. It's amazing and terrifying at the same time. Perhaps our first contact with an alien will be with one we created ourselves. It feels absurd. A ChatGPT-4 model will generate unit tests. Hallelujah. I hate writing tests. Yay? Except, how do you know it's generating the right tests? Can it explain its reasoning? Unit tests are a weak form of automated specification. Why are we inferring our specifications from examples to begin with? Who is going to walk through the reasoning and verify these are the right tests, and make sense, and specify the correct properties? Can ChatGPT discover properties and prove theorems? We used to do this in code review, where humans could explain their reasoning. Now we have ChatGPT 4, which will give you a plausible-sounding answer that is completely wrong, and makes no sense. We have to read every line it generates, and make sure it contains no errors, is properly specified, makes sense, etc. Something we're extremely ill-equipped to do. The problem of programming for me hasn't been about how much code I write, or how quickly I write it. It has always been about solving the right problems with elegant solutions. The code itself is an artifact of the real work. Copilot just doesn't really help here. It doesn't understand specifications, and doesn't do any reasoning. It can't take a specification, generate a program, discover new abstractions that make the solution more elegant, and explain its reasoning. It can generate a heck of a lot of code though. Wow! Is it the right code? Maybe. But that's what we get with humans, right? No. Humans can explain their reasoning. Another reason to switch from GitHub: I don't want to strengthen this ecosystem. AI-generated description for PRGG. IMHO it will drastically reduce real productivity for those who will remain on this platform, but still increasing whatever fake metric, accepted pull requests, stars, people love to check. How have people been thinking about licensing and attribution when it comes to using AI code assistance tools like this? In my personal work, I'm avoiding it since being trained on publicly available code from GitHub feels too risky for me if I were to, say, accidentally pull in GPL code to a private project. With increases in productivity from systems like this, and a guaranteed bottom line improvement from cutting labor and running leaner teams, has anyone here heard of any large corporations using LLMs as an excuse for headcount reduction yet? In all honesty, I wouldn't be surprised if this has already played a large behind-the-scenes role in the layoffs at Google, Microsoft,